Please exercise caution.
A hero's journey always begins with an impossible goal. An enemy determined to stop him, and a team of elite warriors by his side.
Okay, maybe not always.
Hey you guys, I'm Jamie Chung, and I play Go-Go in Disney's Big Hero 6.
Why is he wearing carbon fiber underpants?
I also know karate.
For director Don Hall, getting a chance to make a Disney movie based on a Marvel comic was the culmination of a lifelong dream.
I loved two things when I was a kid. I loved Disney animation and I loved Marvel comics. Fortunately for me, Disney had just purchased Marvel. I started just making lists of Marvel properties that I thought would be cool. And I came across one called Big Hero 6.
Once he unearthed it, he saw so much promise in it, and it got him excited and made him pitch the idea to John Lasseter.
And he lit up and thought that there was an emotional story there, as well as just something that could be really cool.
Don took the spirit of the characters and the name of the comic books, and that's what the film became, something absolutely original.
The big challenge was, yeah, okay, let's make a big superhero film, but what makes it a Disney animation comic book film? What makes it unique to us?
We tried to set out to make a superhero movie that was a Disney animation superhero movie, and we had to ask ourselves what that meant.
The filmmakers needed just the right starting point for their story, which it turns out came in a helpful suggestion from their friends at Marvel.
The original concept in the comic book was Baymax was built by Hiros' father.
And I remember looking at that pitch and I said, no, let's switch this around. Let's make Baymax a brother.
The more we talked about that, the more we realized the story of Hiro and Tadashi, the two brothers, might work better as a Disney animated film.
The fact that Tadashi created this nurse bot that essentially ends up taking care of Hiro really is kind of the center of our story.
And the focus on the Tadashi-Hiro/Baymax relationship gave the movie a relatable access point for everybody.
Hello.
And Don did a very interesting thing early on. He pulled together a brother summit where, not having a brother, he actually asked us, all of us who have brothers, to come into the room and talk about those relationships.
We all brought these personal stories of what we do with our siblings.
I kind of see myself in Tadashi because a lot of it is based on personal experience. My mom passed away when I was 5, and me being the oldest one, I always make sure that my brother and I are always together.
There's things in there that just make you feel, and I think that's what makes this distinctly a Disney superhero movie.
It's been said, a hero will walk alone, forged by his own deeds against impossible odds. Is it just me, or does that sound really lonely? I say if you're gonna go on a journey, bring friends.
Everybody say Hiro!
The way we work at Disney Animation is that, we screen our films every 12 weeks.
We have this big note session afterwards with our brain trust, which is basically our heads of story, other writers from other pictures, other directors, filmmakers from other projects. And they come in, and after a screening, they just give a ton of notes on what they just saw.
And you do it again and again and again and again, and hopefully, by the time you get to your last screen, you really have a good sense of what the movie is.
At Marvel, we write a script, we shoot that script. John and the team dive in and sort of find it as it's going along the way.
This film was interesting because you had an origin story, this team that comes together, but then you also had a very specific story between Baymax and Hiro. And so you had to service that story, but you also had to service the story of the team coming together.
Really what makes a great superhero movie, what makes a great superhero is the alter ego. What makes Iron Man great is not Iron Man or that suit, it's Tony Stark. The same can be said with Big Hero 6. You get to know who they are before they ever put on those costumes.
It is funny because you identify with all of them in some way or another. I mean, Fred is the fanboy that I am and was, getting to live out his fantasy. I feel like I'm getting to live out my fantasy every day by making a movie like Big Hero 6.
Wasabi was able to be the voice of the audience. So when someone says, hey, let's become superheroes, he can say, whoa, 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 that sounds dangerous, crazy.
We can't go against that guy. We're nerds.
If I was one of the Big Hero 6, strangely enough, I'd probably pick Honey Lemon. Because Honey Lemon can pretty much do anything.
I think I'd want to be Go-Go. She's just so independent and strong. She's so cool.
I think I would want to be Baymax. They're all heroes, but Baymax is the soft, squishy center of the team.
It was very important to me that we do something different. You know, I didn't want to put a robot on screen that we'd seen before. So I knew our task was going to be a difficult one.
One of the things we wanted to do early on is make sure that the science actually had some basis in fact.
That meant that we really had to do a lot of research into technology and not look at what we have now, but look at what's coming in the next 5 to 10 years.
So there was a lot of research done in robotics, in chemistry.
And it was at Carnegie Mellon, actually, that we discovered soft robotics.
Which essentially was an arm that had a substructure, but then was covered with inflatable vinyl.
They'll be used in the future in the healthcare industry. And I thought that was going to be a perfect, very appealing, kind of huggable robot, which we all wanted Baymax to be.
Hello, I am Baymax, your personal healthcare companion.
The face of Baymax actually came from, we were at a shrine in Tokyo and I saw some bells that had a very distinct design on the bells.
It was 2 circles with a line attached to it, and I thought like, oh, there's something really interesting and spiritual and also robotics.
And I thought that would make it a very appealing face for Baymax, and I actually really loved the idea that we would limit his expression.
It was also important with this huggable robot to come up with a very endearing, sweet walk.
Come on!
And so the animators looked at all types of birds and mammals and whatnot, and it came down to the cutest thing that we could find was a toddler in diapers. And specifically a toddler with a full diaper. That was the key.
One of Baymax's most memorable moments began with a simple gesture.
Fist bump!
Fist bump is not in my fighting database.
The fist bump came out of just a desire to give Tadashi and Hiro a mannerism.
Once Hiro instinctively starts to bond with Baymax, he goes right to that same action.
I think one of the greatest gifts within this whole production has been Scott Adset.
His interpretation of a robot's interpretation of that sound.
Ba-la-la-la.
It was one of those amazing, spontaneous moments that you're constantly on a search for in animation.
Ba-la-la-la. I will add fist bump to my caregiving matrix.
And so, of course, we were like, let's protect this. This has to be part of the story. And we actually started building more and more moments that use the fist bump.
And it's turned out to be one of the greatest moments in the film.
For Hiro Hamada, the next step in his transformation would require a very big leap of faith.
Before there was ever a story in place, before we ever had everything kind of ratcheted down, I knew there was going to be a scene where this kid takes this robot out on a flight. There's a wonderful moment where they become sort of symbiotic and that they're flying together and both enjoying this moment together.
You know, it goes back to Peter Pan, it goes back to Dumbo. Flight is, you know, probably one of the greatest dreams that we ever have in our childhood.
Somehow that scene always connects to the 8-year-old fan of Disney animation and Marvel Comics to me. So it almost represents me getting to live out this dream of making this movie.
Yes!
Like so many superheroes before him, Hiro Hamada's journey takes him through a strange and wondrous new world, which you might just recognize.
We literally took U.S. Geological Survey maps of the city of San Francisco, pulled together with Tokyo culturally and visually.
When I would see shots, it gave me the feeling that you weren't just dropped into a slice of time. The people who created this world had a sense of the history that led up to that time.
We took thousands and thousands of pictures and sent the art team to San Francisco multiple times.
We tried to keep the city feeling like San Francisco, but have it feel like something has changed, and the changes in the aesthetic design given to the details.
We wanted it to feel like a thriving metropolis. And to do that, we needed to populate it with a great amount of people, traffic, and an art direction that made you really feel like it was kind of a future universe in a certain sense.
But breaking ground on an all-new city also required some groundbreaking tech.
We wanted to create something new that was unlike anything anyone had seen before.
So really, over a 3-year period, we totally reinvented how we render our imagery.
It's called Hyperion, and it allows a very realistic light simulation.
We capture these skies in San Francisco, and you could take that capture and feed that into Hyperion, and it would just light up.
Hyperion is our secret weapon, I think, to make the world seem, vibrant.
When the going gets tough, our young hero learns the hard way that a superhero is only as great as the enemy he must face. And this face ain't no joke.
Even though Disney villains are incredibly memorable, they never see themselves as the villain of the movie.
I want my daughter back.
They see themselves as the hero of the movie that are trying to accomplish a task, but are not taking something into consideration, and it's generally the safety of other people.
Callahan, in one sense, is dealing with the loss of Abigail in a very similar way that Hiro starts off. Because I think Hiro initially is wanting revenge.
And, Callahan gets a surprise sort of at the end that, his daughter is not gone. And so his whole way of thinking is just proven to be wrong.
In the final moments of his journey, Hiro will eventually find success. But it will take a very personal sacrifice.
I cannot deactivate until you say you are satisfied with your care.
No! I can't lose you two!
Disney has never been afraid to take on very difficult, really challenging emotional truths.
And loss, I think, is something that we've all experienced.
The hardest part about dealing with loss is understanding that the person that you've lost is still inside of you. And that you'll always be able to get to that place. And that, for me, it was a story about his brother being able to see him alive again in a way that he wasn't really alive. But for Hiro, he was.
I will always be with you.
One of my earliest childhood memories was watching Bambi, because it was a movie that is really sweet, really winning, really charming, but it's also the movie that told me that my parents were going to die. Sorry. To think that you can create something that is so entertaining and makes people really connect with the characters and really get lost in the story, and at the same time could take on these really important, really emotional ideas in ways that remind people of these very simple truths that are important.
The one thing that I do know is that as long as we keep telling stories about the people that we lost, they will never go away.
At the end of every journey, a hero will return home a changed person.
The whole city of San Francisco is asking, who are these heroes and where are they now?
I had so much fun playing Go-Go. It was most definitely an experience of a lifetime. So thank you so much for hanging out with me here in my hometown. Let's pound it out. Ba-la-la-la-la.